This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. Yanks stink. Team stinks. We said we weren't going to get fooled again. We didn't. I got fooled for, 10 minutes. Last show, we were like, hey, this is an odd timing for a show. Usually we do Monday, Thursday, 2 o'clock Eastern, live on YouTube, and then on all podcast platforms. But we did the Tuesday show because of the holiday, and the Yankees had already started their series in Texas, and they won the first game. And Clay Holmes came in and actually was sort of close to bringing Corey Seager to the plate as the tying run in a game that started at 8-3 in the ninth. But he didn't because Gleyber Torres made a good play. And we were like, hey, they won the first game of the series. That's great. Technically the vibes are high right now. But I'll believe it when I see it, winning an entire series, 2 out of 3. Because they'd won the first game of the last 2 series, 2 against under 500 teams, or the Cardinals were right at 500 and they sent them under 500 and then they got back over 500 because obviously they beat our ass. But it was like, well, this team, all they do is play rubber games and sometimes they win them. They won one against Colorado. They won one against Cleveland. Cleveland was a very strange series because the Yankees lost the first one and won the last 2. They don't usually do that, but they love to win the first and lose the second and then either win or lose the third. And the previous 2, they lost the third. So it was like, hey, I'll believe when I see it. They're obviously not winning tomorrow. Carlos Rodon, Andrew Heaney, they have a good shot at winning that game, but based on the way the Yankees behave, they're obviously not winning that one. So we'll move on to the rubber game and see what happens. And that one's Evaldi Stroman doesn't feel great. Well, guess what? They lost both the next 2. They lost the series. They lost another series. They're 3-6. This is very reminiscent of when they lost series to the Red Sox and O's and Braves in the middle of June, and everybody was like, "Wait, is this team bad?" But guess what? When they lost series to the Yankees, to the Red Sox and the O's and the Braves in the middle of June, all those teams are pretty good. The Red Sox were heating up. The Orioles are the Orioles. The Braves are the Braves. These are the Cardinals, Rangers, and Washington Nationals. And the Yankees have played better at other teams' ballparks than at home, and 2 of these were on the road, and they still lost the series, and they still looked like garbage in the finale, and they still blew a 4-1 lead in the 8th inning of the second game, and Clay Holmes blew a 1-run save in the 9th, only recorded 1 out. It was the first batter of the inning, meaning he recorded the first out of the inning, then proceeded to go single, walk, grand slam, which sucks really bad. And then owned yesterday, destroyed, dominated, thoroughly outclassed by an under 500 Rangers team with Nathan Eovaldi on the mound. Alex Verdugo jogged walking to first base in the top of the 5th inning on his 300th rolled over grounder to the second baseman this season. I'm just kidding. That's an exaggeration. It was his 350th. I exaggerated down. Thomas Carannante, welcome to the show. Team's not good.
Nope.
Everyone in the American League is a mess, but the Yankees have relinquished their lead on the AL East and seem unlikely to get it back. They play better teams down the stretch. They seem to believe they have a playoff spot sewn up. They seem to believe they can turn it on when October begins. They haven't proven that for years. They lack urgency, and they played another terrible series in Texas.
They know better. That's what it always feels like. They know better. They're not going to make the obvious decision. They are going to sit here and I think the Tuesday night game when Clay Holmes got walked off with the grand slam.
Worst game of the year by the metric that we always say, hey, do you hate blown saves? That might be the worst one of the year. Do you hate total collapses? I mean, the Sunday against the Cardinals, we just said, was probably the worst overall game of the year, but worst blown save. I'm going to throw it right at that Clay Holmes game on Tuesday for the team's hard work in the 8th and 9th. I don't know what the previous champion of that, probably the Fenway game to start that 3-game series where they somehow actually won the second and third when they rallied back to take that 3-run lead and then sit on Rafaela and everybody else made it disappear. That's probably still the worst blown save of the year, I think. I think that's number 1. But I think Tuesday's number 2, and I think the Mariners' 4-1 lead is number 3. Yeah. But either way, we got a lot to choose from because Clay Holmes has fucking 11.
Yeah, I mean, pick any of them out of a hat, and you'd be like, fuck, that one was really bad. I mean,
11 is so many.
Well, I had a friend text me yesterday. Baseball watcher, not a Yankees fan, Nats fan.
It's a fun
goes,
team.
Why did the Yankees keep having this guy close games? I don't fucking know. but I have random people asking me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't think that this is anything crazy. And you want to look at Clay Holmes' advanced metrics, which may or may not support him, FIP, whatever, but whip's bad, batted ball metrics are bad, swing and miss is bad, eye test, inability to, handle the ninth inning.
Batters are hitting 336 off Clay Holmes' sinker this year.
Crazy.
Sometimes it's a called strike, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's nice, but 336 batting average against
ridiculous
one pitch from a two-pitch pitcher, batting practice shit.
That's better than a batting title number, actually.
Luis Ariz is like, damn, I wish I could face Clay Holmes every fucking day.
But yeah, you look at how that game ended, right? And the Talking Yanks guys were on the Yes broadcast for that game, and John Boy said they continue to lose in the same ways over and over and over and over again, and they just say it's bad luck. That's what they do. Oh, got unlucky with that. You don't get unlucky 60 plus times a year, or even a percentage of that.
We just got unlucky. We got it to our closer. Yeah, your closer always blows saves.
Yeah.
So your process is still flawed.
We got unlucky. We got our closer to the 7, 8, 9 hitters of a sub 500 team, and they just he walked the 9 hitter.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. He's he dances around it's one of two things with Clay Holmes. He's either dancing around the zone, much like Stroman does, which is a frustrating thing to watch because you want to just attack hitters, especially ones that are relatively inferior. But it's either that or he just doesn't have his stuff. And, to not have like a true fastball to me seems like a problem, especially one that you're not able to utilize consistently or attack the top of the zone with. Nonetheless, though, the Yankees are telling us that they're going to be open-minded about the closer position, which is something they probably should have been open-minded about a month and a half ago. And now it's too late because guess what? What are the alternatives? Luke Weaver, Tommy Kahnle, both of whom good pitchers, I think have had good years. Flaws are very much obvious, and they are also not entirely reliable, as much as I hate to say it, because, again, two guys who have had good years. Luke Weaver, I said last episode, really good pitcher, not your bona fide 8th inning guy, shouldn't have been elevated that quickly, that fastly, and relied upon as much as he had. Tommy Kahnle has barely pitched since 2020. And, now we're going to potentially be relying on him for the highest of leverage innings when he's shown that when faced with inherited runners, he can't succeed whatsoever. So, there is going to be positions where the closer is going to be faced with inherited runners, and how are you going to rely on Tommy Kahnle to do it? All goes back to the trade deadline that we don't need to talk about, but Brian Cashman thought 2 relievers would be enough. Brian Cashman thought Scott Efros would be enough. Oh, wait, Scott Efros is back in the minor leagues.
Already? Yeah, oh, wow. Look at the time. Scott Efros got to get back down to Scranton.
Look at the bus is leaving for Scranton, Scott. Can we get you outside? So, yeah, it's just you look at all the factors, and the Clay Holmes situation to me just encapsulates why this is not a World Series team. It's another instance in which the team, whether it's Aaron Boone, whether it's the front office, whoever, remains stubborn in their processes. To be open-minded about the closer role on September 4th doesn't do anything. That gives you less than a month to figure it out before the most important part of the season when your closer needs to be dialed in. You look at all the other things too, like losing the same way over and over. It's a blown lead. It's not being able to punch back after going down in the first inning. It's sloppy defense, and it's all happened over the last few weeks. You look at the decision-making on Tuesday as well. Anthony Rizzo comes back from the IL, seeing the ball well, playing solid defense, benched on Tuesday for DJ LeMahieu because there's a lefty on the mound. DJ LeMahieu costs them multiple runs by being able to hit the ball and then makes an error on a routine chopper.
Well, he lost. No. Sorry, you got to forgive DJ LeMahieu for that. He lost the ground ball in the lights.
Yeah,
he lost a ground ball in the lights. Ground balls, of course, on the ground, otherwise known as the floor, aka the bottom. Lost a ground ball in the lights. So got to write that one off. Chalk it up as just, hey, baseball happens.
Yeah, you you look at that Aaron Boone decision. I mean, the decision, in my opinion, to yank Canely after that, like, why? You brought him out there to get one out. Why are we doing that again? Either bring him out for the full inning, and you see that that base runner was not his fault, so he's clearly throwing the ball well.
Yeah.
Give him another batter. But we know that the split inning duty doesn't work. It never works. Like, that's another thing. Then you go to the post game defending DJ, saying he got the ball lost in the lights. No, he didn't. He's just not a good first baseman. We've seen a lot of those defensive miscues this year. And then you fast forward to the part where they're asking about Clay Holmes, and Aaron Boone doesn't want to discuss it right now. Emotions are running high, but it's like, okay. And then you're gonna half-ass tell us, like, yeah, we might be open-minded to it. We'll see what we're going to do. And then the beat writers are like, yeah, he just doesn't want to explicitly say Clay Holmes is probably losing his job.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Again, why are we going to be dishonest? Why are we going to lack candor? Why are we going to tell everybody that they're seeing, they're not seeing something that they're seeing right in front of their faces? It's the same nonsense over and over again. And as long as the Yankees are not going to be honest with themselves, as long as they're going to try to protect their players for, again, whatever reason, like, how much more does Clay Holmes need to be protected? He's blown the most saves in the league. He's been one of the worst relievers in the sport for over 2 months now. He sees all the headlines. There's no protecting Clay Holmes from anything at this point. There's no protecting, someone like Gleyber Torres earlier in the year who led the league in errors. Oh, no, but he makes sterling defensive plays. Great, but he botches the routine ones, and then it puts the offense, it puts the defense, and it puts the pitching staff in a really bad position.
First and second one out. Josh Young rips one towards Torres. That's a play you can make.
It's a hard play.
It's a tough play, but it's a play you can make. And of course, now he doesn't knock it down, doesn't get the glove on it, just olays it right into the outfield. That's a Ruby single. That sets up the inning even further. The onus falls on DJ because, again, he lost a ground ball in the lights, which are in the sky. Ground balls are on the ground, but still have a chance to get out of it. And Gleyber made a better play to end Monday's game than the one he botched to extend Tuesday's game.
Yeah, I went back and forth on the Gleyber thing. I would have liked to have seen a better effort, I guess. But even if he were to have made a better effort, I'm not sure that he even makes the play. But then again, look, you go back to Aaron Boone hyping up Gleyber Torres as like an elite second baseman. Okay, fine, man. If you believe that, that's great. Then he should have made that play. Elite second baseman makes that play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Elite middle infielder makes that play.
Yep.
Crazy to say because Gleyber Torres is not a problem for me right now. It's really everything else. And you want to talk about more of the effort and things like that. We've been seeing Alex Verdugo walk to first base for 2 months now. Michael Kay finally decides to say something about it. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, it's more so, again, the energy, the complacency, the belief that, oh, nope, we're fine. We're fine, even though everything in front of us is going wrong, even though everything that we could have possibly put together in this specific sequence has gone wrong. And there's never a retrospective on decision-making. There is never, worthwhile or wholesome changes made. Again, too late to remove Clay Holmes from the closer role. Too late. You passed on all these options at the trade deadline, which we can go down the list right now if we want, but an absolutely ridiculous, like this is what they do to themselves. They reach the point where the conversation is no longer tenable. They reach it to where all of the headlines get out of hand, where all of the fan outrage gets out of hand. And then they're like, all right, fine. We'll consider maybe something, but wait, it's too late. So I don't know if we can consider anything actually. Sorry, guys.
I just good. I'm glad that they're getting creative with Clay Holmes. Because Clay Holmes can't be your closer in October. And that's fantastic. And they went from like a death sentence to life support. And that's great. But the bullpen as a whole is terrible. Canley's been acceptable. Luke Weaver has been solid and has his moments of doubt and pain. But he's thrown 73 innings this year. So he's your closer in October. Now he has to come in every time they have a 1-run lead. He's going to throw 100 innings this season. Like, I don't know. Jake Cousins is my lead internal candidate, but Jake Cousins also beefed the Tuesday game. He came in for Canely and
had a bad 4 games in a row.
Yeah, and he's got 1 career save. So Jake Cousins might be my preferred option, but you're entering October with a closer with 1 career save, and you started him as the closer in September, and the 1 career save was Nestor's game against the White Sox last month. 0 before you just had to bring him in on accident. I mean, there was a report from Donnie Collins, who's a sports writer in Scranton who covers the Rail Riders, who noted to everybody, hey, you want to replace Clay Holmes? The Yankees don't develop closers or care. And I saw that wayward and just quote tweeted it like, hold up. Like, they don't develop closers. Their whole thing is developing bullpen. Yes, but they don't emphasize the closer role in the minor leagues. Agree with it, disagree with it, what have you. They don't believe that there's any added benefit in getting someone 9th inning experience versus 8th inning experience at the minor league level. Anthony Misevich leads all closers in the Yankees minor league system with 7 saves. So it's just random. It's, hey, who's available? You close today. And that's the way that the Yankees operate up and down the system. So they don't value getting reps in the 9th or metal or fortitude. They think if you're a good reliever, you'll be a good reliever in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And it sounds like a fun thing that could be true. And it's a stat nerd's dream. If you believe you found another inefficiency, congratulations. But it's not reality, because Clay Holmes is a very good reliever. He was a very good reliever in 2022 and 2023 for the most part. His numbers would indicate to you that he's just getting unlucky this year, and he has a good FIP, and he has strong peripherals, except for everyone is killing his sinker. But he's not a closer. He comes in 1-run games and blows them. Yep. That's not a closer. Do you want to think about his 1-run games this season? You feel like, oh, he never completes 1-run saves. I went through all the 1-run games this season for your listening pleasure. Ooh. When was Clay Holmes' last successful 1-run save? July 31st against the Phillies, and he got real lucky. Leadoff single, top of the lineup coming up. Austin Hayes got under one, hit it to the wall and left. Who remembers that? Next batter, injured Bryce Harper, grounds into a double play. Escaped by the skin of their teeth. I'm glad they won that game. But that's Clay Holmes' last 1-run save. This close to a walk-off 2-run home run without recording an out.
Yep. Sometimes it's really easy for the opponent.
It goes in the books as a save, but give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
He's blown 3 1-run saves since that date. Those are the only times he has entered with a 1-run advantage. One of those wasn't fair. It was against the Blue Jays after all those guys got on, after the fly ball got dropped in left center and dudes got on base. He gave up the tying run. Fine. But he also blew a 1-run save the other day, of course. And he blew a 1-run save in the Little League Classic in the interim. I'm going to be pedantic here. I'm going to go through the 1-run opportunities so that we have the clip. Everyone can listen, reference this clip. Last time you're like, how's Clay Holmes doing 1-run saves? Here you go. Opening day in Houston. Scoreless inning with 3 hits allowed. That's almost impossible. But Juan Soto threw a guy out at the plate. 4th game of the series, Houston. 1 scoreless inning, but it started with back-to-back singles. Remember, John Birdie made a great defensive play, and they hold on by the skin of their teeth there. April 9th against the Miami Marlins, a perfect inning. Congrats to Clay Holmes. He did it. April 13th against Cleveland. 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 Ks in a 1-run game. I don't remember that at all, but that's his best 1-run save of the year, April 13th. April 23rd against Oakland, perfect inning. Miami and April Oakland. These are the teams. He doesn't come in for a 1-run opportunity between April 23rd and May 29th. Why? Did the Yankees know something?
Well, they were playing well.
They were playing well. I'm also getting an ad on our website. I love our website. I can't read our website without an ad. They were playing well. There were not a lot of 1-run save opportunities in there.
It's still hard to believe. 0 in over a month.
0 in over a month. And then May 29th in Anaheim, he comes in Louis Heal's brilliant start. Single, wild pitch, walk, double play, ground out. Woof. Oh my God. What? June 13th, Kansas City walked off by the Royals, which could make a massive difference in the AL playoff race. Entered that with a 1-run lead. Left it with a 1-run deficit. July 10th, Tampa Bay, 1 1/3 scoreless, perfect frames. Trent Grisham ran down a liner in the gap to end the 8th. That doesn't sound like something that actually happened, but it was. Good for the Yankees that occurred. July 26th, Boston, enter with runners all over the bases. First and second, one out in the eighth. Luke Weaver's mess. And then he gave up a Willie Abreu game-wrecking double immediately. And then July 30th in Philadelphia, blown save, 2-out wild pitch. Then the July 31st save. There's 3 good ones. There's 4 good ones in there. A Rays game that was saved by Trent Grisham's great defense, a Guardians game, and 2 at home against the Marlins and A's. Those are the good, rock-solid. Clay Holmes comes in with a 1-run lead and just freaking polishes it off this year. 4 of them. Yeah. It's September 5th. He was removed as the closer on September 4th, and he wouldn't have been if he had only blown 10 saves. It was the 11th blown save. That was the final indignity. Okay, now we got to do something. That's an unbelievably bad closer season.
Not only that, but if you look at Clay Holmes historically, again, I would say a very good reliever, right?
Yeah.
Like in general, a very good reliever, but the Yankees have had this evidence since 2022. And in my opinion, it should have been when it began to cascade in the third year, which is 2024. So back in 2022, during the first half of the season, he had a 1.31 ERA, 0.87 whip. Incredible.
Yeah.
But then those numbers normalized. Second half, 4.84 ERA, 1.30 whip. That's a fifth inning. That's your 5th or 6th reliever. Those are numbers for your 5th or 6th reliever. They just are. 2023, 2.23 ERA, 1.01 whip. Again, very good numbers. Normalizes once more, 3.71 ERA, 1.28 whip. And to me, the ERA isn't really the big problem there, but you see the consistency with how bad the whip gets. And whip is a very important stat for closers. I will disregard ERA for closers, obviously, if you're sitting in the 3.5, 4.25 range, because shit happens. But whip, if you're allowing traffic on the bases consistently, that is not the characteristic of a top closer. And it just isn't. So now you run into year 3. You have Clay Holmes in the first half, 2.77 ERA. But after May 19th it was, even with how dominant he was for the first 6 weeks of the season, his first half whip was still 1.31. That's not good for a closer. It just isn't. So the warning signs were there. And now we're in the second half of the season, and he's got a 4.50 ERA since the All-Star break, and a 1.38 whip. And those are worse, significantly worse than his first half numbers, and even almost just as bad as his really bad second half numbers in 2022. So again, it's the Yankees not looking at the track record in front of them. It has nothing to do with the fact that we don't think, or a couple of bad Clay Holmes outings, and it's like, all right, this guy's not a closer. It's not. You have 3 years of a track record that suggests that, again, closer is a hard job. I'm not saying that Clay Holmes should be waltzing in there and being 100% on his save opportunities, but he has the most blown saves in the league, and he has been shown to fly off the rails during the second half of the season when those saves and those high leverage opportunities become even more important. It's just how the season progresses. There's no fucking pressure in April and May. There's not. And June, you could argue there is some because you're trying to get right by the All-Star break, which is usually the second week of July. Okay, fair. But every single year he started to cascade starting in June. And there is statistical evidence. You have the month-by-month breakdowns, and the Yankees ignore it. So again, for them to tell us that they're going to get open-minded with the closer role right now, I don't care. It's been something that people have been talking about for over 2 months now. And they decided to not get creative with it before the trade deadline to see what they had in their bullpen. And then it led to Brian Cashman not upgrading the bullpen whatsoever. And I guess relying on these guys coming back from injury, one of which is already back in the minor leagues for whatever reason. And you're just looking at a team that is out in the first round of the playoffs, whether it's the wild card round or the DS. And there is nothing that's going to convince me between now and the start of the playoffs that will change. They could go on a hot streak. Various teams catch fire. We'll say it every episode. I'm not denying that that's going to happen. There is just no way I'm betting on it to happen.
It's never been us. This team has the least juice they've had all year right now. They get punched in the mouth again yesterday, and how do they respond from 5-0 down? Juan Soto homers, good for Juan Soto. Alex Verdugo grounds out, walks to first base, gets called out by Michael Kay. The Orioles lose to the White Sox too. You know what a good team does? They watch the Orioles lose to the White Sox, and they go, let's step it up.
Let's beat the shit out of this team.
Let's step up the intensity. Let's destroy the Texas Rangers tonight. Let's take good at-bats. Let's get Nathan Eovaldi out of the game in the 5th inning, and let's go ahead and grab a game. The Yankees don't grab games. Marcus Stroman dances out of trouble early and then gets pasted. But you could still win that game down 5-0.
Sure.
It's not easy. You can still do it. You could at least lock in and start trying.
They scored in the 1st inning. It's over.
It's over.
Sorry.
They scored in the 1st inning. It's over. The 1st inning. And it's over. Yeah, I'm betting against the Yankees making an October run too. Luis Gil, the closer, as has been suggested in the comments, command is his biggest issue. It's going to work once, but the second time he's walked the bases loaded with 1 out, I'm going, can we at least get him some more experience? It's September 5th, and he's starting tomorrow. So if he's your closer in October, can we try that now? Nestor Cortez is closer. That stuff's going to play up as a closer? I don't even love Nestor Cortez as a middle reliever. Closer? Clark Schmidt is closer? I mean, it could work, but he's our second best starter.
Yeah.
So why am I moving him into the closer role? I need him for 6 innings. None of it's working.
And what they've done with Clark Schmidt, it's another narrative to add to the stubbornness. They've kept Clark Schmidt out for over 3 months. Clark Schmidt began his throwing program on June 28th. He's not playing again until September 7th. June 28th, he began his throwing program. It took him over 2 months to get ready to pitch again in the major leagues. And again, I don't know the specificities of the injury, but I would know more if the Yankees would tell me. They won't. Latch strain, no other details. Okay, great, but when's he rehabbing? We don't know. Okay, great. How's the throwing program going? Oh, it's going. Wait, what has he done so far? Nothing. Okay.
Cody Poteet's on 1 week of no throw. When did he start throwing? How long is a week?
Cody Poteet now has gone 3 rehab assignments at AA. Why?
It's September 5th.
He's been out for 3 months.
1 week of no throw. What did he do for the other 2.5 months?
I have no idea what they're doing on the injury front, and I don't need to be a trained professional to question it because there have been injury issues with this team dating back to 2018, where we had questions about the training staff, where there were questions about mishandling people, whether it was rushing them back. And now we're looking at the other end of the spectrum where, there was plenty of problems over the years that were out of the Yankees' control, right? Freak injuries, Luis Severino not reporting pain, and then it costing him 2 seasons. Like, I'm not faulting the Yankees for that. But, the various soft tissue injuries that result in setbacks over and over again, the constant Tommy John surgeries in general, and especially ones from trade acquisitions and position players, baffling how many times it's happened to position players. Every trade deadline acquisition gets injured in some capacity. And now we're looking at, how explained. Here's the way that I framed it to try and understand it. How does Clark Schmidt's rehab take longer than Garrett Cole's? How? Garrett Cole had an elbow inflammation injury that threatened very much his next 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. He dodged a bullet. We're thankful for it every single day. It was one of the few times the Yankees actually caught a break with an injury. Mm-hmm. Garrett Cole was out in the beginning of March and returned in the beginning of June?
Yeah.
And something like that?
I was in Italy. I was in Italy for Garrett Cole's first start back. So June 18th or something.
Yeah. Middle of June. That's the same timeline Clark Schmidt has been out. I just don't get it. So the Yankees are trying to perfectly time Clark Schmidt to be ready to pitch, with no restrictions for down the stretch, when in reality they just subtracted a month of having their second best pitcher on the team that could have bought them, anywhere between 3 and 5 wins. that could have given them cushion over the Orioles. They don't look at things like that. They're just like, oh, no, big picture. We have a talented team. We're hopefully probably going to win the division. And if we don't do that, we'll definitely be in the playoffs. They're going to put themselves in. They're going to end up having to go to Houston in the playoffs with the way things shake down. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
It won't even get to that point because they're going to lose first. But there will be a scenario where we are going to regret in a Yankees theoretical playoff run that they have to go to Houston.
Yeah, I don't even want to go back all the way to the trade deadline when we're talking about regrets. It sells itself. Like, you don't even have to go, hey, Brian Cashman in an all-in year should have given up more for A.J. Puck, and A.J. Puck didn't even go for that much, or you should have given up the farm for Tanner Scott. I don't actually agree with that, but Jason Adam, give up a prospect, give up a Chase Hampton for Jason Adam, which is what the Padres did. They gave up Dylan Lesko, a top 10 guy, but with significant command issues increasing by the day, for Jason Adam. I would do that. Pete Fairbanks was supposedly someone they were chasing. I would have found a way to do that. Michael Kopech has been a dominant closer for the Dodgers. They gave up almost nothing to get him. Miguel Vargas, that's basically like giving up Everson Pereira or somebody else who's fallen off the prospect map. I would have done that. It's very clear. And you don't even have to. Let's do a deeper dive into the Enyel De Los Santos move. He's not on the team anymore. Let's do a deeper dive into Mark Leiter Jr. and his peripherals and his whiff rate and his splitter. But he's allowed a run in 8 of 15 appearances. I
don't even know if he pitches anymore.
He pitched yesterday. He's been worth negative WAR on the season. Negative WAR. That's your trade deadline edition. Like, it's a fucking joke. You don't have to go piece by piece. If he were only to emphasize his splitter more, he's the worst guy in a good bullpen. He's a mop-up man, and that was the highlight of your trade deadline.
Look at these ERAs. Efros 9, Meza 7.64, Leiter Jr. 4.65, Phil Bickford 8.64.
Phil Bickford's still up. When I'm talking about DFA'd guys, I keep forgetting Phil Bickford's still up because we have to welcome back Clark Schmidt.
And that feels bad.
Clark Schmidt will be there tomorrow because he has to start on Saturday. They're going to bring Ian Hamilton back, who's been awesome in rehab, but I guess they're going to maybe bring Lou Trevino back at some point, or Nick Birdie. They still have Meza and Bickford and Ron Marinaccio in the big league club. They sent down Scott Efros before any of those guys. The bullpen has always been bad, and now it's worse. It's the worst it's ever been. It's Ian Hamilton. I would rather see close than Jake Cousins or any of these other internals. I mean, he hasn't pitched in months.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have Ian Hamilton as my October closer. That's where we're at.
Yeah, I would. I mean, the other crazy thing here is like they're making the Clay Holmes switch now with other options who have regressed as the season went on. And again, we're ignoring the fact that Aaron Boone can't really manage a bullpen.
And you're going to be excited to see Clay Holmes come into the 7th?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're getting creative. He's not the closer anymore. He's still pitching high leverage.
Yeah.
And the audacity, people like, well, this is going to ruin Clay Holmes' confidence. Oh, yeah, he looked like he had plenty of confidence on Tuesday.
Yeah. He's had zero confidence coming in the 9th inning since the beginning of June.
Yeah. It's the beginning of time.
Yeah. So, again, the Yankees sat there arbitrarily, and they said, this will turn around, as it completely went in the opposite direction over and over again. So, yeah, now we'll have fun watching a 7th-year manager who has not gotten better at manage a bullpen, now have to manage the bullpen more intensely with the most important role, with guys who are unqualified to pitch in that role. So that should be fun. Anyway, speaking of managing a situation, the Yankees can't do that either. Pissed away the easy August and the easy beginning of September, and now we're away. Still behind the division, even after the Orioles lose to the White Sox, and might have been the White Sox's second biggest win of the season outside of their 10-run romp of the Yankees earlier this year. I think that is actually correct. They won 8-1 yesterday against Baltimore.
Easy.
So, yeah, the Yankees pissed. And then, again, you made a good point in this article that'll go up on the site tomorrow. The Orioles have dealt with more issues than we have internally in terms of injuries. And there was no way the Yankees were going to be prime for a better opportunity to build a lead on the division or put a bigger cushion on the wild card. And they didn't do it.
Every team has been so underwhelming for like a month and a half now.
Yeah.
That's the only reason we're still talking about the Yankees having hope in the AL. They have almost the best record in the AL. They're 80-60. They might not win 90 games. I think they're going to get to 90 wins, but they're on pace for 92 according to Fangraphs. Like, that's one of the best records in the American League. This is not a very good team.
2021 all over again.
They've been 40-41 since June 1st. I mean, but other teams are letting them off the hook. And the Orioles are struggling for the most part in exact accordance with the way the Yankees are struggling. But they're an upstart young team, and they have an incredible talent core. Gunnar Henderson and Kobe Mayo and Colton Cowser is probably going to win the Rookie of the Year. Jackson Holliday looks better after coming up. There's a reason that everyone's so bullish on the Orioles. Adley Rutschman is still young, etc. And look, the front office could spend poorly this offseason, and they could go patchwork, and they could get too creative like they did at the deadline, which saved Cashman's ass and may still yet save it this fall if they get lucky. But they lose Kyle Bradish for the year. Grayson Rodriguez has been out. Tyler Wells out. Their closer, Felix Bautista, out. They've got Craig Kimbrell in instead of Felix Bautista. That's a downgrade. LOL. Adley Rutschman hitting 212 in the second half, down to a 112 OPS plus on the year. Jackson Holliday came up and looked awful earlier in the season. This is the worst the Orioles are going to be unless the front office bungles it and they don't extend this talent. And that's possible. But then you got to hope for a lot of stuff to happen. This is probably the worst luck the Orioles will ever have.
Yeah.
They put it on a plate for you. You couldn't take it. How about the Boston Red Sox? Roman Anthony up to the number 2 prospect in all of baseball. Marcelo Meyer, top 10. Kyle Teal, 26. Christian Campbell up there in the top 30. Bright future in Boston. They still don't have the pitching this year. Something fell apart. I don't know about that front office yet. They traded Chris Sale for Vaughn Grissom, but they're in the playoff race this season, and they're only getting better. Their front office can blow that too. Maybe they never spend. Maybe the Red Sox fans actually have the right to be spoiled crybabies. Maybe the front office will justify that attitude. But at this moment in time, it feels like with the Red Sox ascending and the Orioles slumping inexplicably with brighter days ahead, this was the Yankees' best chance to win the division. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge are having otherworldly seasons until now, of course, until the last couple of weeks. Aaron Judge, since he was on Paw Patrol, has no home runs. I don't think that's relevant, but he's in the midst of his largest homerless streak of the season.
Imagine he was just verbally abused on the set of Paw Patrol and he couldn't handle it. Now it's affecting him.
Maybe his real soul is in the computer, the animation. I don't know, but he hasn't been good for a very important stretch of Yankees baseball against bad teams. Hard to blame him, but
can't blame him. But
incredible Juan Soto, Aaron Judge seasons, better seasons than any of their rivals are getting out of any of their best players. Just a competent, Luis Gil's first half filled in for Garrett Cole expertly. Carlos Rodon was excellent in the first half, and he's rebounded pretty solidly. Clark Schmidt was a top 15 pitcher in baseball when he was healthy. All of these elements are adding up to give the Yankees a pretty clear shot at the division, which they won't have pending Jason Dominguez's emergence and some smart spending and a Juan Soto extension. They can buy themselves some really good shots at the AL East over the next decade. They could win the division over the next decade. I'm not predicting that they'll never win the AL East again, but this is the easiest it was going to be. And this is the easiest it was going to be to run up the score. The Guardians struggled. The Royals just lost 8 in a row. Was that what it was? I mean, yuck. Maybe only 7, but they lost the first 2 against the Guardians. They lost 4 in Houston. They lost the final one. So at least 7. I think they were going for 8 yesterday. The Twins recently went through a 6-game losing streak and are slumping too. The Yankees could have run up the score. 11 Clay Holmes blown saves too. Just reverse 5 of those, and they're still leading the division. It's never that simple, but it also kind of is that simple. Golden opportunity for the Yankees to be 4 or 5 up in the East right now. Time to make some statements down the stretch. Instead, they're playing from behind, and they are now facing better teams down the stretch. Cubs are red hot, especially the Cubs offense. The Yankees go to Wrigley this weekend. Yankees come home and face the Royals. Yankees come home and face the Red Sox for 4. And the Red Sox just looked as listless as possible at Citi Field. But if you think that's what's going to happen when they play the Yankees, welcome to Yankees Red Sox. That's not how it goes down. They've got the Orioles on their schedule. They've got at A's. We talked about this last week. The A's have the best record in the American League since the All-Star break. The Yankees do not have it easy. They won't have it easy. And they've played their best baseball this season against teams that don't make it easy. But they're going to have to do it again, and they can't sleepwalk like Alex Verdugo. And regardless of whatever they do over the next 3 weeks, they have already let a golden opportunity slip through their fingers. That's in the past. They can regroup, but it's going to be harder than it was. They've made it hard. And it's never going to be as easy as it was in August again.
Nope. And a good point you make about Judge, like, yeah, there's never going to be a point in the year where we actually criticize Aaron Judge or Juan Soto unless it comes down to beefing clutch playoff at bats. Knock on wood, don't want that to happen, but you know how the crowd reacts if it does. Judge and Soto's downturns in production have obviously collided and coincided together. In the last 9 games the Yankees have played against sub 500 teams or non-playoff teams, they're 3-6. So it just goes to show how lopsided the offense is. And if one or both of those guys are not performing to the best of their abilities, it's a completely different team. And it's not a good team. And it's one of the few teams who cannot absorb, again, a loss to one of their main pieces of the puzzle. Years past, it was a Giancarlo Stanton injury, completely derailed the offense and made them look like they couldn't form an everyday starting major league squad. This year, it's Aaron Judge and or Juan Soto slump, and then it's a pitcher's dream. They're just breezing through the lineup. So point me in the direction of the front office making the right decisions. Again, like we can blame Aaron Boone for a decent amount. He is the manager. We do think that there is some sort of a motivational issue if we're looking at the 5th in a row summer collapse, with no regard for, I guess, what's to come, or maybe the front office has infected them with the belief that things will change. This is our plan. Don't worry. We're going to see it through. But the front office, I mean, the only moves this front office has made since this team reached its peak in 2019 was signing Garrett Cole, extending Aaron Judge, and trading for Juan Soto. And by I mean the only moves they made, those are the only impact moves they made that worked. And if Brian Cashman doesn't make all 3 of those moves, he shouldn't be the Yankees general manager. Those are just the facts of what free agency and trade entail. Like, you're the Yankees, you employ the American League MVP. That's your player for the rest of his career. It's like, this isn't Milwaukee. It's the different stakes here. Juan Soto's out there for the taking, and you're the only team that has the necessary pitching depth to trade for him. Yeah, you're doing it. If you don't do it, it's malpractice at its finest. Garrett Cole's a free agent. You haven't had an ace in 7 years after passing on 4 of them. Got to sign Garrett Cole. Guess you just got to give him the money. So it's not like Brian Cashman has Alex Anthopoulos his way into creating this roster. He has spent money in the wrong places outside of those 3 acquisitions. His trades have all missed the mark with the exception of a couple of flash in the pan options. You got to give him Clay Holmes. He traded nothing for Clay Holmes. He traded nothing for Jose Trevino. Jazz is looking good right now, but you don't know how that's going to end up. The re-signing of DJ LeMahieu was the right call at the time, but he's been injured for 5 years. So we don't really know, it goes in line with the other busts that this team has signed and it hasn't worked out. And the Yankees continue to chalk it up to bad luck, and you can't have an 80% fail rate and chalk that up to bad luck. Bad luck is a coin flip. Bad luck is not all of your processes not coming out the way that you would envision them. Joey Gallo, Josh Donaldson, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, James Paxton,
Alex Verdugo,
J Happ, Alex Verdugo. Let's talk about Alex Verdugo. It was funny because Alex Verdugo has obviously, he won us over for a second there, and I'm kind of glad that it's over because we didn't feel right about the acquisition in the offseason anyway. And then we reached the point where well, he's here, he's the left fielder. So what are we going to do? Bitch about it the entire time? Now I can bitch about it the entire time. I will say, however, I'll still defend him against Red Sox fans' criticism. Red Sox fans are laughing at this trade for whatever reason. And it's okay, I mean, we gave you nothing. Verdugo's changed nothing about this team. He's not making the team worse. The team is the same as it's been with him on it than the other people. And you have nobody who's good from that trade. So you guys were the one hyping him up as the second coming of whomever because he was the centerpiece of the Mookie Betts trade. And now you're going to have the audacity to laugh about the Yankees as you're tumbling out of the standings worse than they are. I mean, come on. But for as much as I'll sit here and say I'm not going to accept that, I'm also not going to accept what Alex Verdugo is doing on a nightly basis. It's counterintuitive to having this team dig out of whatever doldrums they're in right now. It's the body language that's shitty that we complained about forever with Aaron Hicks. And now it's just repeating itself. Same thing with Joey Gallo. Like, I don't think Gallo was as bad as body language as those two, but like at some point it got sad with Joey Gallo where it's like, okay, we can't really employ him anymore. It's depressing and nobody likes to watch it. And he's clearly not having a good time. So why is this part of the formula for a winning team? And again, like, we're not saying employ the entire roster of all-stars, but can we get half the roster not playing the worst to their career numbers and like half the roster not playing out of position? Feels like an easy ask, but like you look across the roster and that's what's happening. The Yankees played games at third base heading into the season. Jazz Chisholm's the starting third baseman because they didn't have a starting third baseman. And then we've watched all the other positions with the exception of center field and right field completely collapse, and that's Judge and Soto. And you could still make an argument that you'd probably rather not have Judge in center field, and you definitely don't really want Soto in right field. So, but Alex Verdugo, the biggest problem with this team, in my opinion, year after year, is the body language, is the inability to maintain that intensity, is the inability to up the attitude and maintain that edge against opponents that clearly want to beat you. And, the stretch just exemplifies everything that's wrong with them. You can't be a below 500 team after starting the year off the way you did, and then have that below 500 sustain. It's been 3 months. It's 3 months now. That's most of the season to this point. So it's the same things we're talking about. But Michael K saying something about Alex Verdugo on the broadcast that made me glad because somebody's got to say something.
It's just so wild that it's Verdugo too, who brought the intensity in the first half of the year.
Yeah, that'll forever be confusing.
That was the whole point, that we need someone to bring that edge and be an enforcer. And he did in April, and it set the tone for the season. And then he just decided, I'm not going to do that anymore. Even after they showed faith in him, too much faith in him.
Yeah.
Like, Jason Dominguez could be in your position right now, buddy, but he's not. So guess what? We endorse you. So play like the person we brought here. And if you roll over to second, run to first, you don't need to sprint. You don't need to Brandon Nimmo. You don't need to look like an idiot, but just give full effort. Don't dog it. Don't do the wrong kind of dogging it. And if you're hurt, then don't play. Because there's discussion of, he injured himself. Remember, he was grimacing over the weekend and maybe he can't run full go. Well, most of his value right now is covering left field. So if he can't run full go, then take him off the field.
Not playing, shouldn't be playing.
Don't play. Your fan base is in a great spot when the argument is over, whether we're criticizing people equally when multiple people don't hustle. Like, I didn't hear all this criticism for Alex Verdugo that I heard for Gleyber Torres. Okay, great. You're right. Both of the guys who don't hustle deserve to get roasted and benched. Are you happy now? Like, that's the discourse. Like, keep that same energy for the other people who are not hustling. I will. I hate it no matter who it is. It's been 2 people recently. One got benched and one is going to play on Friday, while the much better player who could be playing his position is at AAA.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that you go back to, after the Dominguez decision, it seems like all this stuff is kind of just cascaded, and it's bad energy. It's lack of execution. I don't know. And again, Aaron Boone has no answers. No answers aside from he's going to be open-minded about the closer role. Look, yesterday the Rangers placed Corey Seager on the IL. You don't run with that. You don't run with
we
the
played two of these games without Corey Seager. Corey Seager played one of these 3 games. We won that one. Corey Seager didn't play 2 of these 3 games. We lost to the under 500 Rangers.
Yeah.
And last night wasn't close. They scored some hilarious runs in the 9th inning.
That was
10-2 to 10-6 with second and third, and then Stanton kind of got robbed of a 3-run homer. It could have been 10-9. They could have lost 10-9. Oh, imagine what could have been. That would have been great.
Yeah. I'm worried about Just, the leadership as a whole. I don't know where it starts. I don't know where it ends.
Well, I got a great email on this that I do want to read on the show.
Who sent
it? Sort of addresses this from a reader.
Oh.
The headline is "Strange Yankee Dugout People." Body, hey Adam, I often see unrecognizable types in Yankee uniform within the dugout box. Are they analytic types or other ancillary management? Are they responsible for some of the boneheaded moves this organization is making? I'd love to send from my iPhone. I would love to help you out with that one. I don't know who the strange Yankee dugout people are, but I do know that maybe they are the ones. Maybe they are the ones calling the shots. Maybe they are the cabal. Maybe they are the reason Jason Dominguez is in AAA. Blaming strange Yankee dugout people is a smarter and more lucid explanation than the reality of why Jason Dominguez isn't in the major leagues. So I actually endorse it. Thank you for the question.
People have noticed this for a while. It's like the Yankees have dugout overload with a bunch of people, and it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I don't know. We don't know who they are. I don't know what the player leadership aspect is like. The Yankees, even Stroman and Verdugo, you bring those guys in this offseason, and we talked a lot about, and we were confident with the fact that this is going to stir things up. It's going to get things going. A little bit of a mix and match, guys with intensity, guys with big personalities, and then you have Giancarlo Stanton, Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, who are, I would say, influential individuals, but not exactly high-intensity individuals, not exactly outspoken individuals, very much scripted, robotic to an extent. It's life in New York. It's kind of part of the job. But you watch Verdugo lose his personality. You watch Stroman gradually lose his personality and edge. Don't know what's going on.
Really, you watch the Mets be awesome.
Yeah, you watch the Mets are having a great time. I don't know. I really don't know. It's more of us never going to be able to put a finger on that. And Judge has been captain for 2 years now. I'm not sure we're going to start, poking holes in that just yet. But he orchestrated the Verdugo trade, and the fact that Verdugo's getting away with the stuff that he's getting away with, to me, to an extent, should be reflective of Judge, because at this point it's clear that Aaron Boone has no say in who gets shucked off the roll. Because in any given day, Brian Cashman could just say, "All right, this guy's gone, Aaron. We have a new left fielder. Jason Dominguez is here, so we're going to put him in the lineup." That's Aaron Boone's boss. So unless these guys all act in some sort of harmony to defend these players, I don't know. But if I'm Aaron Judge and I know that everybody was aware that I advocated for this trade and pulled the strings to make this trade happen in the offseason, and now these are the returns, forget about the production, right? At this point, we've come to learn that Yankees trade acquisitions, this is just what happens with most of them. But the lack of hustle, the body language, you had that post-game quote after the White Sox series, or that White Sox loss. And somebody's got to say something to him, and it's got to be Judge at that point, because he made it all happen. And we know Aaron Boone's not going to do it, because Aaron Boone's trying to protect his closer from criticism, even though the criticism has fully boiled over into a heinous discussion. He's trying to defend his second baseman who leads the American League in errors at the time. He's trying to defend Verdugo at any point, claiming that his peripheral metrics are actually screwing him and he's getting unlucky, and he's absolutely not. It's a full-on lie. So for Judge to not be, we saw Judge play a little bit of a disciplinarian leader when Marcus Stroman lost his mind in Toronto, which part of us said, you know what, kind of lacked a little bit of tact from Stroman there, but maybe perhaps what somebody needs to hear.
Yeah, we all feel that way. We all watched the same thing and had the same thought.
Yeah, was I happy about it? Not exactly, but on the other side of the spectrum, I was like, all right, this is a good learning experience for someone like Stroman who's new to the clubhouse. It's also maybe a fucking wake-up call for people who are loafing in the field. I don't know. And again, it's these low energy losses. It's the lack of confidence late in games. It's the lack of confidence after this team goes down. And you go back to kind of you were talking about the closer thing and how this team doesn't develop closers. To me, it's more so because they don't value the personal or character element of the game. They don't view that, okay, this guy has the stones to pitch the ninth. They don't think that that's a thing.
Yeah.
They're just like, nope, this guy has good stuff, so it's going to play up in the ninth inning, regardless of what the scenario is.
And if it's not playing up in the ninth inning, it's because it's bad luck, and it will eventually. It'll normalize. You'll see. Like Clay Holmes has been unable to hold a 1-run lead all year, but he will in October because it just doesn't make sense that he can't. And that's the stuff that it just doesn't make sense is the stuff that you have to say, this is unquantifiable, and we're going to move on now.
Yep. That's it. And it's more of this, it's the Yankees invested all this money. And again, I'm not criticizing these players because I know they work hard every day, but they invested all this money in LeMahieu and Judge and Stanton and Cole and Rodon. And I know Rodon was a bit of a curveball because we thought he was bringing a little bit more of an attitude to the clubhouse, but all those guys are the same kind of robotic, say the right things in front of the media, walk away, lead by example, and they don't have enough of the pump up kind of guys or the high character, like energy kind of guys. I'm not saying those guys are low character. It's just like in terms of the expression, in terms of the energy night in and night out. We talked about it a couple episodes ago, like Aaron Boone stresses, you have to remain even keeled throughout the season. You can't get too high and you can't get too low. I mean, I would argue you could get too high. That'd be nice. Getting too low, yeah. I mean, but this team does get too low. We know that this team gets too low.
Yeah. This team gets so low, they signed too low. They had Troy Tulowitzki at some point. They actually literally got too low. If something keeps happening if I could just communicate one thing to the New York Yankees, if something keeps happening over and over and over again and it doesn't align with the numbers that you're crunching, then it's time to now ignore the probabilities and just say, this outcome is defying our numerical logic, so something else must be at play. Something mental,
it's called
something
an anomaly.
something physical. It's, it could be an anomaly. Who knows? But if it's happening repeatedly, don't bank on the more it happens in the wrong direction, the more likely it is to happen in the right direction when we need it to most. It's just not true. It's sometimes not true.
I agree. It's
bad. And
true.
Personality fits. I said it at the trade deadline. I'll say it again. I'll say it forever. The names that swing a trade deadline and swing championship outcomes, sometimes it's the stars, but usually it's a guy like Jesse Winker, who the Mets got. And you have to bet on the right chemistry fits, contributing pieces, starters, bench jockeys, relievers, what have you. And you're going to go to the championship celebration, the 15th anniversary, and say, man, I'm so glad we bet on Damaso Marte. Or I'm so glad we paid the cost for Nick Swisher. And it's these supplementary additions that swing championships. Sure, Johnny Damon got paid a lot of money, and yeah, he stole second and third base at the same time. And yeah, A-Rod is a marquee name, and they don't win that title without him, but they don't win the title without Marte and Swisher either. And Phil Koch and all these guys who stepped up from, supplementary is even too generous for some of these guys. Like unearthed chemistry fit pieces, and then other teams would typically try to pay those players that the Yankees found, and then that wouldn't go quite as well because it doesn't work over and over and over again. Gio Urshela is not doing what he was doing in 2019 now, but in 2019 the Yankees found all these dudes: Urshela, Mike Tauchman, Cameron Maybin, and yeah, Juice Ball, fine, but it wasn't fair to say, man, we get these guys and nothing ever works out, because it was really working out that year. But since 2019, man, it really doesn't work out. They don't target the right guys. They don't fill in the right gaps. Yep. People come here and they play worse than they ever have. They take chances on a Mark Leiter Jr. They don't get AJ Puck or Jason Adam. MLB's Twitter feed just scrolled past my home screen, and it was like the deadline additions that made the biggest impact. It was Jason Adam, and like his 0.5 ERA was the first one. It was like, yep, yeah. Paul DeJong has had a huge impact for the Royals. Could have had Paul DeJong for free. I don't want Paul DeJong, but those are the guys that swing titles, and we didn't get any of them. And now we're trying to catch fire, but we don't have the kindling or the spark.
Got nothing. 3-game series, day off, thank God.
Thank God. Best day of the week. Best day of the week. No Yankees baseball on this beautiful Thursday. Man, it rocks. And no Yankees baseball on a Friday night either. 2:20 p.m. at Wrigley. Yeah. So go out.
3 games in a row.
Go out and enjoy yourself. 3-day games in a row. Maybe you get a win.
Hot Cubs team.
Hot Cubs team. They've put up 10-plus runs in, I think, 7 of their last 10 games. Yep. Certainly did it last night.
The snow hit the Pirates.
We don't face Shota Imanaga, so that's great. Jamison Tyone, I think we do face.
Yeah, Tyone Cole on Sunday. Loss.
Yeah, Tyone shut us out last year. And he was bad last year and good this year. It's a fun place to play some baseball games. I'm glad the Yankees are still 10 games up on a playoff spot. You kissed the AL East goodbye. You could have kissed it goodbye the second Clay Holmes was walking off the mound after Wyatt Langford's grand slam. But they can make some hay in the postseason race. They could get to October. John Sterling's coming out of retirement if they do get there. So please get there, because I want to hear John Sterling call some playoff Yankees baseball games. And I want to hear John Sterling call out Alex Verdugo. He's moving slower than me on that grounder to first base. Susan, 86 years old, but I got a little giddy up. I don't know what's wrong with Verdugo's trousers. That's what I want. Can the Yankees please win some baseball games, please? I beg of them. Maybe when they start playing over 500 teams and streaking teams in the positive direction, they'll actually show up. It might be nice. Who will the closer be Friday afternoon? Anyone's guess. Could be Clay Holmes. Would be very funny. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carannante, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Tommy's_takes. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can reach us at a bunch of other places. First of all, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Yanks Go Yard on YouTube. Pretty easy. We're also at the official Yanks Go Yard Twitter account at Yanks Go Yard FS, and yanksgoyard.com has all the content you could ever imagine. If you don't want to listen to us one day, you can read us. Maybe it's a little less abrasive on your ears. I don't know. But we're having a good time in terms of keeping you guys up to date with everything. We're not having a good time watching Yankees baseball. So we get a thankful day off today. We got a weekend of afternoon games against the Cubs. We'll reassess everything on Monday. We'll be right here, 2 p.m. Eastern live. Hope you guys enjoy yourselves. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thanks for coming. Fun show.
Go to the NFL. Go Giants.
Oh, yeah, the NFL started. The NFL snuck up on me, man.
Really did.
I actually had a thought today. I was like, man, maybe I will just watch the NFL season opener. And then I was like, wait, maybe you love the NFL. What do you watch it? What are you talking about? Football. I do. The NFL is good. And the Chiefs and Ravens play tonight. That's a good game. But I would also, can somebody dethrone the Chiefs? Could we get the Chiefs out of the first Thursday night game this season? That'd be great. I guess not, though.
Ravens win.
Ravens win 74-2, I think. No, 27-24 Baltimore Ravens victory. And we'll see you.